name is Vatsal, and I run a solo firm which is called Pragmatic Consultancy. By profession, I'm a business coach, but I am known in Magento community because Magento community always loved me. You will always Asia, Singapore. Edition of Meet Magento Singapore. Every year I do some different roles here, and got selected or elected as board member in Magento Association. So first Asian presentation on Magento Association. Now today I have a role to invite different speakers. The first guy who's there is my personal favorite. He's my brother, and I love him. He also shares the same initials like me, VS. And the last time we had a talk, VS Talks. So we both were there and talking together in a panel. So it's Vikrant Shukla. His formal introduction is his cloud solution architect at Adobe. But I know him as Super Mage Man, and whole India is fan of him. You will always find him on social media talking about Magento and Adobe. He's a very popular guy. He has done amazing help to many people in India, and he needs less introduction. But yeah, welcome, brother. He's going to talk about Adobe Commerce, a modular composable architecture, because we are going in era where people talk about monolith, headless, composable, and complex structures. So he's going to simplify that for us. I hope it will help. What do you, Vikrant?
Thank you. Thank you, Vatsal. I think that's a great introduction. Thanks a lot. So yeah, as all of you know, my name is Vikrant Shukla. I am into this ecosystem since its inception back in 2007, and I love contributing back to the community in all the way possible. So today I'm going to be speaking about the modular architecture, right? So what it is and how Adobe Commerce felicitate this Adobe Commerce composable story. What actually is composable? So we are going to be talking about all these ideas. What composable is? What is the hybrid capability? Whether are you already doing composable or not? So you would get to know that somewhere you are already doing a composable story without naming it as a composable. And I will also be touching base upon the technical architecture and the key takeaway that we can consider whether as a business owner, or as a solution architect, or as an SI, would you need a composable story and when you will need it. So what is composable commerce, right? This is a new term that is coming across very recently. There are a couple of companies which are marketing themselves. When I say companies, the e-commerce providers, which are actually marketing themselves as this keyword, right? But what actually is a composable commerce? So by definition, composable is trying to find the best in breed of to fulfill all your specific needs. So for example, if you want to implement a search in your e-commerce, you may be looking at a search engine which actually does only search. And similarly for a cart, you may be looking at best in breed of a cart solution, and so on and so forth. And then combining them to make a business need for yourself or for your customer. This is the hype graph, right? The trends that was published by Gartner. So if you see in this graph, we were actually talking about headless in the eras of, if you go back in 2018, 2019, we were talking about headless. Whoa, what is this? This is something new, right? Then came the PWA stories, right? So in the hype graph, if you see, we are now at the API-based digital commerce era. So what we are looking at is kind of a Mac, right, monolith, microservices based, right, headless, composable, kind of a story. So Gartner has published this, and we are kind of reaching the era of an API-based digital commerce, right? So we also did a survey. This was a survey done in Southeast Asia, just in order to understand the regional trends. So this was a survey done by Adobe with some of its merchants and some of its SI partners, just in order to understand what kind of complexity they face, right? So poor integration with tech system comes on the top, right? That is the biggest problem that has been raised by the SIs and the partners in this region, right? The workflows issue, lack of digital skills, so on and so forth. So these are some things that that has been portrayed across. Now, if you see what is the advantage, right? Modular composable commerce. So what are the advantage that is being marketed when it comes to the composable story? We say that we can do continuous development. So it is being said that with composable commerce, we can actually do continuous releases, right? Without having interdependentability on a different module. We can do rapid release of new features. So for example, if you are going with a composable story as per the timeline or as per the let's say marketing strategy that is being used for the composable is that with search, let's say if I want to just roll out search features, I would be able to get the, I can just push search, I can just develop search without impacting the catalog and the services accordingly. Similarly, independent scalability. So if tomorrow I am looking at a marketing campaign which is going to bring a lot of, let's say, customers on my page views, I should be able to scale my PLP or PDP page without even going into scaling other parameters. So these are the advantages that we are seeing across when we talk about the composable commerce being discussed. Now the interesting part is the Mac Alliance, right? We might have been hearing about it a lot. You might be getting fancied what it is, microservices, API first, cloud, and headless, right? So in Mac Alliance, what we are looking at is, we are looking at this, if you remember the Gartner graph that I showed you earlier, we were talking about the API first, right? So microservices is something that is being pushed across because it helps you scale a particular component of your commerce setup without having a negative or let's say a positive impact on the other side, right? API first. With the composable story going around, what we are looking at is we are looking to develop APIs which are scalable. So APIs, if you see Adobe Commerce coming in, we have got both REST and GraphQLs, and we are pushing forward for GraphQLs because that is the future, right? Similarly, we have got cloud. So you should be cloud native if you are looking at a composable story. That is something that is being said. And headless. So headless is something being done since long. Now, let me ask you, the people sitting in this room who have been doing Adobe Commerce or Magento since long, right? Haven't we been doing since the inception of Magento, right? We have always got a lot of mature APIs, and I'll speak about it. Now, why and how would you use a composable architecture? So as I was saying, chances are you already are doing it. So if you go back and remember the old days of Magento 1, we had got payment gateways and we were integrating with them via APIs. We were doing headless implementations all throughout, right? We were with Drupal maybe or with or any other third-party system, we already have those in place, right? Even today, we have got headless implementation using Vue Storefront and other places that we can implement. AEM could be implemented on top of it. Now, if you, that is the headless thing. We have got the API thing. Now on cloud, we were always able to host our solutions on cloud and scale it as we want it to be. Now, if you see this example, there are chances that you already are using a composable story without naming it as a composable. So going deeper, I want to highlight the Adobe's hybrid commerce capability. So what we want to highlight is that Adobe Commerce Cloud is one solution which fulfills all your need for composable story and also helps you with the hybrid workplay that you want. So if you see this slide, this is kind of a high-level story of how Adobe Commerce journey began to hybrid, right? We began 2008 until 2016. We had Magento 1 in play. Then we began with 2016 to 2018, the Magento 2 era, which is the cloud era, came in play. Then we started 2018 to 2019, the GraphQLs comes into play. Then the headless era of 2020 begins, right? We all remember the PWA Studio coming into play. And now we have got the Adobe Commerce, which is decoupled hybrid architecture. And I have a slide wherein I'll try to explain how Adobe Commerce is doing it for you. So we have been doing it without naming it as a composable since day one. Now, this is a high-level architecture which speaks about the modules or the API or the components that comes with the Adobe Commerce. So the uplining area is the customer interface, wherein you connect with the customer through any of the interface, and it's open GraphQL API response commerce services through which you can connect to any of the customer touch point, irrespective of whatever domain you are. So we are today connecting Adobe Commerce with Adobe Screens, AEMs, right? With PWA Studios, with third-party solutions, right? We have got other implementation strategies. You can even connect it with Acquia or Drupal. So it is independent of whatever technology you want to bring on top. The mid layer, which is the storefront headless, headless API. So GraphQL, right? Last time I checked, we had more than 1,000 GraphQL endpoints, right? And it is something that is already there since day one. We are not even, killing the REST APIs. We are also building that in parallel so that it is a flawless implementation by our SIs for our customers and partners. These are the commerce component, the services, right? So you can choose which one you want to use. So, and this is how the Adobe Commerce, or let's say Magento, has been doing it since day one. So we always had that flexibility wherein you may not want to choose to implement Magento search, or maybe bring in something like Algolia, right, on the search if you want to. So the hybrid capability has always been there. And with, let's say, the back office APIs, you can always connect with your ERPs and third-party systems. Now, a modular approach and why it is easier to do that. So if you see, the Adobe application is made up of collections of features and self-contained modules, right? So as a SI and as a customer, you have this ability, whatever you want to choose, you can choose out of core module, which will be facilitated by the GraphQLs and the API calls that we have, and you can feed them into the front-end architecture. Now, these are 3 customers I would actually like to call upon, and I would also like to, I'd like you all to applause for Ray Bogman, who is here, and he was actually part of this Elshaya implementation from the implementation side, and this is one of our case study customer, wherein we have taken 209% increase in orders into 2020. And you should find a time to speak to him as in how this was done with Adobe Commerce, scalable architecture. And this is one of our, let's say, poster boy customer, right? Then we have got ABNV. All the beer lovers would know this name, right? So they have been doing all those GRA implementation, and you can see 6 million GMV in first month on Adobe Commerce using the hybrid composable story that we have, wherein we have a front end and when we have other back end and so on and so forth. And TVO, the CIF integration, all those people who are familiar with AEM and commerce implementation would know about the commerce integration framework, which is built out of box by Adobe Commerce, already being created, already been in the market since last 3+ years. And it is something that helps you connect AEM and the commerce easily. So yeah, these are some of the poster boys who are already doing Adobe Commerce hybrid strategy and getting the best out of it. So it's important to understand when do I need to go with, let's say, a composable story, right? On paper, let's say it might sound shiny, and it might sound, let's say, maybe all of those people who have seen a lot of the rings, right? The guy saying, my shiny, right? And running after the ring. So are we running after the ring? Do we really want that kind of a structure? Or are we really, do we really need it? And when do we need it? So what we are looking at is, to have this kind of a story, you need to have an internal, strong internal team, right? Because now you're looking at different APIs from different vendors to integrate into your commerce solution, right? You would need rock solid CI/CD processes. Oh boy, remember, I know that. I am a cloud solution architect. I know without a rock solid CI/CD pipeline, you can't even imagine going into a composable story, right? Because then you're bound to fail. And it has to be both internal team as well as team thinking about security, processes, CI/CD pipelines, deployment pipelines across multiple verticals and consuming multiple APIs. The third thing is long-term iteration and maintainability of the entire business. So far, we see that, okay, as a composable, maybe I can bring search from vendor A, maybe I can bring catalog from vendor B. And it's easy for me to change vendor A one fine day if I don't like or if it doesn't fulfill my processes. But there is always an API connection. There is always a cost of ownership. So that is the point wherein you need to understand the OPEX and CPEX to match the composable priority. So as a business, while as an SI or as a merchant, if you are looking for a composable story, these are some of the important business considerations that you need to have in mind. And this is where what I said is being validated. Right, so Adobe Commerce Cloud, what we are offering you is, we are offering you a platform that increasing communication efficiency and outcome, and it is having all those things in play. So we are actually proposing a Adobe Commerce hybrid composable story, right? And if you see, the total cost of ownership in a longer period is higher, if you go with a composable story, and is lower if you go with one architecture wherein you can fulfill all those things. And this is a Gartner report. Because then you're using one vendor to fulfill everything. This is where we need to consider. So these are some of the key considerations, right? What you need to understand when you are playing with the composable story, what comes out of box, what can be scaled, whether I have got the API from this platform or not, whether I can integrate it with the front-end solutions or not, and then propose the solution accordingly. And as I come from the world of implementation, have done it a long period of my time. So I always believe that it is us, the consultant, who are going to drive the success for its merchant, right? We need to be the driving force. We need to be the person who should drive merchant toward a successful implementation, rather than we should not be, let's say, just following their instructions and go ahead with it. We need to ensure that we are the driving force which makes them successful. So this is where I was talking about the business consideration, right? Is your business a startup? Are you just starting to crawl? Or are you already established business for around, let's say, 2 years, 3 years, which is already working? Or let's say if you are already an enterprise customer who is already running on a solution and wants to run more faster on the other one. Or let's say if you are already a mature customer who is already, let's say, doing millions of dollars in GMV and you want to optimize that conversion more, right? So that is where we, as the implementers, as an SIs, as the merchants, as the solution architects, as the business architects, and even as the developers, need to understand, are we at the right place? Are we starting? Are we crawling? Are we running? Or are we already established business which is on moon and maybe wants to go to Mars, right? Yes, so for all the techies in the room, right? This is the technical architecture that we believe, and it's not very API and all those discussions. So this is the composable architecture that Adobe Commerce has, right? So if you see, again, the self-hosted, we have on the top is something that connects with the customer layer, wherein those are the customer touch points which are fed by the GraphQL APIs. So we do not limit you or enforce you just to follow PWA Studio. You can connect with AEM, you can connect with custom mobile, you can connect with any custom front end. Now, if you see on this on the left, we have got microservices. Now, assume you want to bring a custom pricing service. Let me give you an example. You have got a SAP implemented. You want to do a runtime price call from the SAP. So we don't limit you. We give you the ability to have a GraphQL wherein you can go ahead and connect with the third-party services to bring in custom APIs, be it payment services, loyalty services, be it search services, right? Then you got the core commerce features, which is in which we have actually empowered, and I really need to talk about it, Adobe Sensei and Adobe Search. It is actually a game changer when it comes to the live searches, when it comes to the product recommendation. And ladies and gentlemen, we have actually gone a way step ahead in optimizing this. And now in coming release 2.4.5, you can even merchandise, you can even have your catalog page being automatically rendered by using Adobe Sensei, and you can increase the efficiency of the product. And this, we are also working on, let's say, other web services. Maybe it's time to call out the storefront, let's say, catalog service, web service, which is going to be G4 release this year. So with that, we are actually increasing the efficiency 10x. So I am not joking. Yes, the way you are calling your catalog today, 10x faster you can call your catalog on the front end using the catalog web services. We have also changed the pricing algorithm for B2B. So now one SKU can have 1,000 price. Yes, one SKU, 1,000 different price could be stored inside Adobe Commerce, and it will be very flawlessly called on the front end. So we are doing a lot of things inside this product, the red boxes that you see, right? And then we got the PaaS services, the extensions, right? The marketplace. We are also, so another product feature, the app builder, which we are going to make G4, which is already there, but it is going to be G4 this year. Sorry, GA, in Q4 of this year. Blah, got mixed, right? So app builder, you can go ahead and create apps. You do not need to convert or touch the core of the Adobe Commerce. So let me clarify, when I say core of the Adobe Commerce, we as developers, as merchants, and everyone have always faced a problem that developers go and directly convert the code inside the core, right? And the upgrade becomes tougher. So we are making a layer wherein the developers can go ahead and do it without even going to touch the base. And then the API mesh, I would certainly recommend you guys, if you want to know more, go and look for it on the Experience platform. If not, please feel free to reach out to me. It's really exciting. With API mesh, what we are giving you as a capability is this, kind of a connector, or let's say a PaaS solution. I would not say iPaaS solution, it's yet not iPaaS, but we are giving you a lightweight integrator between your APIs from any other platform to Adobe Commerce through a connector called API Mesh. So you can go ahead and connect your ERPs, your OMS, your payment gateways using the API Mesh that we have created now. So this is a kind of a example slide. I need to click more. So what we did is we have partnered with few of the SIs in APAC region just in order to give us this scenario. So okay, if this is the scenario wherein we need to bring custom pricing microservice, what are the manpower that you would build to your merchant? So in case I just want to bring a custom pricing web service, right, from let's say a ERP system into Adobe Commerce, what is the manpower that you would spend or you will charge your merchant? And this is the manpower, right? So 110 people week. Now, please note, the composable story might be the new shiny thing, but implementing it is like 110 hours, and then you need to do a regressive maintenance on it. So it may look fancy with the new marketing strategies from new e-commerce portals out there, that composable is the new shiny. But Adobe has been doing it for, or let's say Magento has been doing it for ages, right? Since I have been working last 15 years, right? We have been doing that. We have matured it. So these are the key takeaways, and Vatsal is pointing me fingers, right? 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, right? So I'm on time. I have kept the pace. So composable will take time. Hybrid will be faster, and that is where Adobe Commerce comes into play. We have shown it. We have actually released websites on production within 4 weeks as well, and that too for merchants. It's not joke. I'm speaking about customers who, let's say, I can't name them, but they are the second largest agricultural company globally. And it was a B2B setup that we created just in 4 weeks for them. fully functional and from this region. So great. Lower total cost of ownership and better design org that you can manage. With that, I think I'm done with my presentation. Thank you. Thank you for being a good, let's say, listener. And any question and answer that you have, please feel free.
Hello. Hi, Chris from Dev Team. I'm very amazed with the microservices part, but speaking in terms of the agency part and the development part, our frustration is on the support level. We had issues with the Adobe Sensei and recommendation. It could take weeks for us to get a return from the Adobe team and the Magento team. Is that going to be better in terms of if you have the microservices for the catalog APIs and the microservices for the catalog, the search, and all those stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I will take the answer first bite at the question, right? So yes, we have had some problems with support. I'll not say that we have been up par. And that's a learning that we are doing. We have learned and we have improved on that. We have also increased our support staff in terms of the support org that we have. And just to let you know, maybe there is a best guy in the room, Ray Bogman. He is the global senior manager for support, right? So maybe I think you should connect with him. You should actually tell him that you have the problem. And that is why I'll just extend the answer by saying that we have listened, right? We have listened to our partners. We are constantly listening to our merchants and the partners, and we are trying to evolve. It's a process. Takes time, right? But I can assure you that in next 6 to 9 months, you would see some things happening drastically different than what they are happening right now, both in the support org and as well as the product side. And
right, thanks.
If you have any ticket that is stuck, please just drop me a LinkedIn invite and a LinkedIn, and I'll help you.
Thank you.
LinkedIn. Send him in DM.
Yeah. Yeah, don't write on LinkedIn, send me a DM, yeah.
Yeah, guys, thanks. Any message for Magento community back in India?
Yeah.
Now you are Singaporean, but you can tell people who love you.
No, I am still part of those 11 WhatsApp groups that we have regional in the cities, and I still try to contribute back as much as possible, and I'm easily accessible. Please feel free to DM me on LinkedIn. I am mostly available over there. Or WhatsApp me, or you can email me. My email was there. If you need me for anything, any help, please just feel free to reach out to me.
Yeah, thanks for being nice. But what we can observe is his shoes has turned red from orange.
So I'll tell you, this guy is going to do a talk, evolution, right? Why evolution is important, right? You have to evolve to sustain, right?
So what he says is evolve from orange to red. Okay.
Great. Thank you, guys. You have been a good
Thank
audience.
you. Thanks for the great talk.